About today. And I'm going to be sharing part of my story because I think it will help provide some context, which is the very first point that we're going to get into. So there's three things that I want to be able to share with you today about pain. And in this particular example that I'm giving you today, I'm going to be talking about physical pain, but you can relate that to whatever type of pain that you want to relate it to, whether it's fear, frustration, a challenge, something that is not quite working out for you. And while I'm going to give you my personal experience and an example that talks about physical pain, I want you to go beyond the specifics of the example that I'm going to share with you so that you can apply it to your own life, business, whatever area you are experiencing something that is causing you pain. If you're brand new to me, my name is Susan McVeigh, and I am a married mama of two. And here on this channel, we talk about all things related to business and entrepreneurship, which includes money, sales, leadership, with faith and family thrown in the mix. So, a question that I want you to consider is how long does it take to release painful patterns? Because pain is an experience that we have related to something that is stimulating your senses in a way that causes it to freak out a little bit. Okay. So, again, my example that I'm going to be sharing with you today is going to be a physical experience, but you can relate this to mental, emotional, spiritual, whatever it is that makes the most sense for you. So, I need to give you some context in order for this to make more sense. Now, if you have been part of my journey or here on this channel for any length of time, chances are that you have heard me share my own personal story and testimony. 10 years ago, I had a massive breakdown that ended up being a breakthrough moment for me, but at the time, I didn't know. At the time, I was suffering from multiple chronic illnesses, everything from fibromyalgia to central nervous system sensitization syndrome, which is a whole mouthful, to neuralgia, to migraines, to IBS. I had lots of stuff that I was being diagnosed with, and even more that the doctors couldn't figure out what was wrong with me. So, suffice it to say that there were a lot of things that were broken, so to speak, and I didn't have any answers. Okay. So 10 years ago, I had a massive breakdown. It goes beyond burnout because my physical body just would not keep up. It basically said, we're done. We're tapping out. We can't handle this anymore. And it was on the pain Richter, like the Richter scale for like earthquakes, it was dialed all the way up and I could not get a break. So that was me 10 years ago. And that was after 4 years. Thanks for the love. Feel free to say hi if you're here. But 4 years ago, or 4 years before that, I had been in a massive car accident. Okay. So that was after 4 years of doing everything that the doctors told me, going to physical therapy, chiropractic, you name it, I tried it. So I had this massive collapse. And I'm sharing this because when I'm talking about the problem with pain, for me, and maybe for you, friend, there are patterns in our life that we don't always know is going on. Now, physical pain is the most, um, it's the most alarming because there's a physical sensation, right? Things are going on and you can feel it. But you can apply this to mental pain, emotional pain, spiritual pain, right? So I want you to think for yourself, when you have something that causes pain, what experience have you had that is similar? So for me, this past weekend, I had something going on with my back, and I know the root cause. I'm not going to go into all the details because the details of it are not super important. But it triggered a massive response in my body. I almost could not walk because my body suddenly seized up and was freaking out about this pain. Now, I have lived pain free for about 8 years, right? By the grace of God, and been healed from all of the symptoms around fibromyalgia and neuralgia and lots of different things. I manage by doing a lot of different components of my health. But I'm sharing this because underneath the surface, there are patterns that my body recognizes that I cannot control. Like when something happens that causes me physical pain, I cannot control my body and get it to stop feeling pain. Pain is a good thing because it alerts your system. It alerts your nervous system, your circuitry in saying, "Hey, hey friend, we think that this is not quite right. And so you need to pay attention." And sometimes it is a very good alarm system because it's stopping you from doing something that could cause more harm. And sometimes, like my example today, it went haywire. Okay, it went totally haywire. And so as a result, my body started to believe that it was under attack. And the problem of the pain became an even bigger problem because what ended up happening is that instead of it being just, I tweaked my back, something happened, I might have overworked it when I was working out, but chances are it wasn't that because there was enough of a delay that that wasn't the direct trigger. I don't know what the direct trigger is. And frankly, it doesn't matter. What's most important is I experienced a huge amount of pain. My body would not let go of it. I did all of the physical stuff, I did all of the emotional stuff, and I even did the spiritual stuff. And so, here are the points that I want you to write down and start to consider for yourself in your own journey or your own experience of pain, whether that's physical, emotional, mental, spiritual, whatever it is for you, right? The problem with pain is not the pain itself. The problem with pain is how we feel about the pain and what we do to keep reinforcing the pain over and over again. So, the first principle that I want to talk about is that context matters. Do you believe it? Right? So, in my case, did I believe that the thing that happened to me was painful? In this case, it was my back. Yes, I believed that my experience was painful. I believed that it was painful. And so my brain kept thinking about all the other times that I've experienced the same kind of pain and it compounded it. It was like all of a sudden, like, here we are in the present moment. That pain of my back was not just what I did to my back in that moment or leading up to that moment. It was all of the times that I have had something going on with my back that I have not allowed myself to fully experience or even just acknowledge. Okay. And so, Pred, I am reading the chat, but I need to stay on track. So usually I go through afterwards. Okay. So, number 2, what happens as your default? So, in my example, and I'm presenting these questions so that you can kind of think through them for yourself. What happens when you're encountering pain? What is your default? How do you deal with that pain? What does your body do? What does your mind do? What does your spirit do? What are your emotions? So, I started to notice that my system immediately started to go into guarding, protective mode. And part of what ended up happening is I anticipated more pain. So even though the thing that caused the pain, I don't know what that exact moment was, nor does it matter. Like, I don't need to dissect it. I don't need to find the cause of the thing that caused pain because me finding the cause of what caused my pain in my back was not going to get rid of the pain. It was not going to get rid of my experience of the pain. It had already passed. But my experience of the pain in that moment was being worsened, escalated, because every time I moved, I anticipated more pain. And I kept thinking, that's going to hurt. That's going to hurt. And I kept bracing myself, like stiffening, like, oh, I can't move this way. And as a result, any of the muscles that were around the area that may have been the original source of the pain, they all got stiff. They all got really angry. They all got inflamed. And so as much as I wanted to calm my nervous system down, which I did, I noticed that this was something that was going on below the surface for what my brain was doing on a constant repeat. It was playing Groundhog Day. So, of course, it was difficult for me to let go of the pain, the physical pain, mind you, because now my body was actually reacting to my brain and the signals of that's going to be painful. So, what happened in the past to cause a painful situation in my physical human form was now being repeated over and over and over again because I kept thinking about it and because I kept anticipating it. So, something that happened before, and I don't know exactly when, but after, 24, 36 hours, I realized if I keep allowing myself to push away the pain because I don't want to feel it and because I'm trying to brace myself as if pain is a terrible thing to have, I'm going to keep making it worse. So, as difficult as it is, I need to just allow myself to be an observer like I did before and just notice that, hey, my body, for whatever reason, has felt pain. That painful situation is gone. Like, there is nothing right now that, because my body's still trying to do this right now, but I already cleaned my house. I already did a whole bunch of stuff that I couldn't have done if I actually had as much pain as I thought I have or I had. And so your brain is the one that's processing all these signals. And that's not to say that I actually was not in physical pain. I was. That was my experience. I created physical pain. My muscles got tenser. My muscles got inflamed. It was stiff. I couldn't sit. I could barely sleep. I certainly couldn't roll over. So, what's real and what's imagined? Did you know that your brain is so miraculously powerful that if you imagine something right now, it is as if it was real? So every single time that I kept imagining that, oh my God, that's going to hurt, even before I gave my body an opportunity to see whether or not it actually could do the thing, it already decided. I already decided that it was going to be painful. And that was the biggest problem. And that's why my body couldn't let go of it, because it was bringing up all these other patterns of all these other times when I've had a lot of pain. I braced. I, I, I can't deal with that. I pushed it away. I allowed it to be my default way of how I get to experience life in that moment, which then, because I keep carrying it forward, repeats itself over and over and over again, like a loop that can't get broken. So, what is your default? It may be different than my default. But my experience with clients has been that sometimes there are triggers that cause pain. It could be physical pain for you, it could be emotional, it could be mental, it could be spiritual, it could be all of the above in some kind of weird combination. I don't want you to judge yourself when these things happen. I want you to just notice and I want you to just pay attention to what is your default and is your system now defaulting to a position, a condition that you have been conditioned towards. Okay? The third point is, how true is the alternative? Because as soon as I realized that I get to dictate the choice of my experience, that by me continuing to anticipate and expect that moving my body, while it has been painful, it doesn't have to continue to be painful, my experience of it completely changed. This is why today I was able to exercise. I was able to clean. I was able to bend up and down, which less than 2 days ago caused a massive amount of pain, like stabbing pains, where I was hobbling around like a little old lady. So the problem with pain is not pain. The problem with pain is how we react to pain. And pain is a natural way of alerting us as human beings to the things that are dangerous, the things that could harm us, the things that could hurt us, the things that decrease our experience of our overall life. But pain in and of itself is not a bad thing. Our experience of pain and what we make it mean about ourselves. And in my case, which I'm sharing in the hopes that it might be helpful for you, is when we allow ourselves to be defined by the painful experience and want to control our experience to the point where we don't want to experience pain at all. Well, that is not a human experience by definition. Like our brain is hardwired for pleasure or pain. Okay. It's constantly scanning to see, am I going to not make it? It's hardwired for survival. And as a result, anything that causes pain is dumped into the category of we may not survive. So we have to fight it. And that's what happened to me, right? And the minute that I said, I surrender, like I don't need to fight this fight because God's already won this for me. And the fact is, I am okay. I am healthy. I have lived to see another day. And by me focusing on the pain, I'm making this 10 times worse, 100 times worse because my brain is not letting go. It's like a dog with a bone. So I just disengaged. And I refused to believe that I was experiencing the level of pain that I had experienced. I acknowledged that I had that level of pain, but I said, thank you. Thank you for the lesson. Thank you for helping me to slow down and pay attention and to notice where my body is at and to be maybe a little more gentle with the things that I'm taking on. Maybe my body is just a little jacked up and dealing with some stress that's happening subconsciously that I don't have an awareness of, nor do I need to have a full awareness of it, right? Because sometimes we go on these rabbit trails, like trying to find the answer to everything. And sometimes that's not what's required. The thing that's required is, what is this showing me? And how do I now move through that with grace, with compassion, with ease, and to overcome what it is that I'm experiencing in the way that makes the most sense for me? So that's what I did. I already believe that I am healthy. I am a healthy person. Does that mean that I don't live with pain? Most of the time, yeah. And so pain does not fit the definition of how I operate. Pain as a lifestyle does not fit my lifestyle. And pain no longer defines what I get to do or don't do. And as a result, I went about my day as if I did not experience pain. And aside from sitting in this chair after doing a whole bunch of stuff to prep for dinner, I have had almost no pain. Does that mean that I won't ever have pain? No. Does it mean that you won't ever have pain? No. But it means that my experience of the pain that shows up gets to be something that I actively pursue and participate or disengage with, as the case may be. Now, I'm not suggesting that if something happens to you and it causes immense pain, that it is, life or not life, then you need to attend to that. But I'm sharing because my situation was I'm still alive, I'm still okay, and I'm still healthy. But my body was holding on to a level of pain that did not match whatever it was that caused it in the first place, and that had then stuck around. When I work out, if I am sore, it's not going to last more than a day. And this lasted an extra day. And I knew immediately because of my past patterns, right? So context matters. Do you believe what your experience is? And do you also believe you get an opportunity to change that experience? What happens as your default? My default pattern is to brace against pain. It's to fight it. So the pain that my body felt, I was fighting, and that made it worse. Because I tensed my entire body. And instead of relaxing into it, it just made it 10 times worse. And then how true is the alternative? You don't have to believe the same thing as me, but I want you to just press into the option that perhaps there is an alternative, that your experience is not the truth. It can be a form of your truth. It can be the true experience that you're having right now, but you also get an opportunity to change what that experience looks like moving forward. Okay? So, I'm just going to see if there were any questions. Hello, hello, if you're on here. Um, So if you are brand new to me and you like content like this, feel free to like, subscribe. And if you ask genuine questions that I can help with, then I will respond. But this is not a channel just for foolishness. Okay. And if you do need help, especially around building a business that's aligned to your divine destiny, God's plan for you, and your natural gifts, talents, skills, and abilities, or you're looking to up level, um, send me a message. Come and find me over on Instagram, or you can comment below with whatever it is that you're looking for help with. And I have some different resources that might be helpful. Go and take a look at the channel and videos that are on here because there may be something that's helpful for you. But if you can't find something and there is a topic that you are interested in, put it down below. And if there is something that I can find for you, then I definitely will suggest it. With that, we will talk to you very soon. Bye bye.